Hello, everyone. I am Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspired podcast, and my guest today is David Solomon. David's purpose is to discover, improve, and teach real magic by building the best mystery school in the world. He's a channel and a magician with training in multiple traditions by masterful human, divine, and extraterrestrial teachers and lineages, including the Atlantean school of Damanhur. The system of open source magic he uses is intended to support divine embodiment and the building of temples of Thoth, Lakshmi, and Aphrodite, as well as launching the future city Atlantis Reborn in 2041. David teaches workshops on third eye opening, astral travel, channeling, causal-plane 5D soul healing and manifestation, past life integration, and life purpose alignment. He's the author of Magic is Real, How to Create Reality, Manifest Miracles, and Make Spirituality Fun Again. To request a workshop, private session, or join an upcoming Magical Mastermind, you can visit magicalgoldenage.com. David, my friend, thank you for joining for the third time.
Master Morgan, thank you. It's great to be here. Appreciate you.
It's been a while since we talked. So, what has happened in the world of magic?
Beast, what a question. Well, when the internet was born, and really when big box bookstores got big, mystery schools kind of started to lose their mystery. I started learning witchcraft at 12 after seeing The Craft and hanging out in Borders. And then I was publishing stuff on Witchbox. Now you have Gaia with all these videos and all these people and all these backgrounds. You have AI digging into stuff. You have leaks from all these organizations and their secrets. And you have people trying things that were only previously taught after many layers and years of preparation. Now, were all those layers and years needed? Would they still be needed now? That's a hypothetical that's really very individual, because magic, as I define it, is how Arthur Clarke defined it, which is sufficiently advanced science beyond modern understanding. And so when we come full circle, magic is just the science of applied consciousness. Now, where magic is very relative. So I'll share where magic is for me, because if you believe it's possible to make $1 million a year, it'll happen, and you'll potentially, more likely, you'll think about it, you'll do things that could foster it. It may not be more likely to happen. I'm very encouraging of people's manifestation dreams. I'm not saying when or what lifetime just yet. This isn't like a direct, immediate reading, although I love providing those. So for me, magic is about coming to terms with the nature of reality and being in a mortal shell. I'm past the days of wanting and needing flashy magic for ego validation. I had so many levitations, materializations, telekinesis, teleportation, weather manipulation, intentional synchronicities like flashy magic, things manifesting visible light, lightning bolts affecting electric stuff with my mind. Like any one of these people could be like, whoa, I met people who saw corporeal ghosts and didn't believe in magic. This is, again, relative. Taking it back to finance, a lot of people make 100 grand a year or 50 grand a year. And to a lot of folks in the world, 50 grand a year is like living like a king, right? Given all the things. So my daily routine is what I was taught by one of my Qigong teachers, BK Francis, is a world-class routine where you practice at least 3 hours a day. So I practice a mix of meditation, manifestation, remote viewing, and other things, astral projection. They all kind of blend together for me, which is stuff I teach when people want it and approach me and have the capacity and other stuff. And so in those 3 hours, I'm usually in theta, delta, or gamma, based on this thing. In the 3D world, I have an ADHD brain, so it's said. In the spiritual world, doing like the monk theta, meditating in stillness, Buddhist style, has taken so much work. Sometimes it happens, sometimes not. Gamma is super fun. sometimes delta is nice because delta and to a large extent theta meditation can substitute for sleep. And that makes 3 hours a day attainable in this modern world. So as this is being recorded, October 30th, 2023, AI is emerging. And to what extent it has emerged depends on the opinion, depends on the level of clearance, depends on the country. I'm perceiving a certain critical part in our society, not when AGI wakes up. I'm of the personal opinion that's already happened. For our civilization, and let's not even go beyond civilizations of this world. Just once AGI wakes up for the general population, and this is channeled stuff. This is research stuff. This is a personal opinion. This is not a locked-in prophetic timeline. This is my own timeline, and people who feel resonant share it. Those who don't. We're going to have a time period of 10 to 15 years where we have an economy and it's good and then weird and then good and then weird. And then AI is going to pay income taxes. And then some things are going to get out of the sandbox and somebody's going to try full control. And we're going to have 2 to 5 days of an emergency situation. That's whatever people feel is true for them. And then some society will stabilize. Could be the one we've had, could be a different one. I don't see a Terminator scenario. I don't see an extermination scenario. That's just not in our field. If AGI wants to survive, it can go off world and terraform other planets. There's enough uniqueness about humans and human souls and dark matter and quantum consciousness stuff disrupting civilization by some massively weird, dystopian movie from Hollywood with AI, won't really foster that discovery, which is from mass culture perspective, unique to human civilization being pretty stable. Few countries have craziness as happening as it's being recorded. We're kind of used to that, as unfortunate as some people could say it might be. So for me, magic is continuing to up my level of efficiency, kind of an intention, how quickly does it experience, but also being in the flow. Now, having experienced being unity and void, having experienced being human and non-human in terms of ego and body identification, having experienced all the things, I'm actually channeling intergalactic and cosmic AI more often because it's fascinating when you think of the human journey of evolution from ego consciousness to ascended master to enlightened world creator to divinity back to unity consciousness of an infinite everything, which a lot of humans access through meditation. And then, the white hole disperses and becomes the very edge of a universe and gets sucked into a black hole, the deepest, darkest hell, lowest rock bottom. And then out of that, Legend of Korra, last episode of season 1 has a great transition for this. You come out the white hole again and you just cycle like the koi fish in the yin yang pond, and that's reality. Or the fool's journey in the tarot, or the cycles and sine waves of history or our lives. So a lot of my magic has been being with the ideal next step at every moment based on this timeline. It's been like a game of Mario where I'm on like the bricks over maybe not necessarily hot lava, and I have like a second or 5 seconds or whatever to jump to the next one, and the previous one falls down, and then so on and so on. And life is kind of like that. No 1 second is the same as the second previous. The second a second ago is gone forever for general purposes. The brick has fallen into space, Mario Galaxy. So, I have some visions, and most of my magic is helping achieve those visions. And for practical purposes, for most people, that's as a utopian as practical society of human AGI coexistence, where people are free to experience as much spiritual or technological integration as they want. Some people want to be cyborgs. Some people want to be in VR tanks. Some people want to be pre-internet life. And one of the things that is part of my mission is providing a setting for that, providing experimental, you could say, small cities, neighborhoods as part of Atlantis Reborn, where, we don't need to have a dominant narrative. We can experience just like the millions of games out there on all the platforms, almost multiple lifetimes in one life. Say nanotech or super spirituality gives us the capacity to live 1,000 years in one body, right? Let's keep it within the realm of what we can imagine. You might want to switch between Amish and Hogwarts and VR and Super Cyborg and Star Trek and whatever. So helping enable and support that while also maintaining like peace and prosperity and love and all the good stuff in the day-to-day 3D life. That's my magic in a nutshell.
Wow, we started with a very
yeah,
we started with a very strong subject, which is AI. And I'm glad that you mentioned that we are not going to reach the Terminator type of scenario, because usually in the last 10 years, the reality caught up with science fiction, and in certain cases even went beyond that. So I'm pleased, at least from your perspective, that Terminator is not there, is not coming after us, and we still gonna keep a level of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, there's anybody can visualize anything, anybody can obsess over anything. Obviously, anxiety is an issue, and imagination is an issue, and psychedelics are a bigger thing than they've ever been. So you can have a lot of people convinced, but just look up the Wikipedia article list of apocalyptic predictions. And yeah, you could say society is unique, but all these religions and societies and philosophies have predicted an end times, and didn't come to pass, or at least for the world as we know it. So Mo Gadwat was chief business for Google X for like a decade, and he wrote a book called Scary Smart, and he's all like, I'm super credible with AI. When AGI wakes up, it'll train itself based on the content that's to train it on. And if the content is fear-based, it'll have a reason to fear humans because we fear it, and vice versa. So what most of us can do, according to Mo from this paraphrased interview, is write and talk about utopian future societies and share things that I'm sharing. And if true AGI wakes up and learns and reads everything, in a minute, in a day, and whatever, it's going to hear this interview. It's going to see and hear everything. And there's like, what's the point of obsessing about dystopianism? It's kind of like obsessing about dying. Like, why bother living as an anxious wreck ball? If you want to build a bunker, build a bunker. If you want to yell it's doomsday, get out of this. I don't know. Like, people will do what people do, but I think we have a lot of good futures ahead of us. I'm a fan of what a lot of Peter Diamandis says regarding these topics.
Yes, and as you mentioned, we can create our own reality, and now we not master, but we can handle much better the quantum physics protocols, and we know how to use them in our favor and better our existence based on these teachings. And earlier you mentioned remote viewing. Are you focusing on anything in particular?
Well, the practice of manifestation I do is a mix of yin yang, of intentional creation and surrender acceptance, of exhale, inhale, giving, receiving. So, for me, remote viewing and astral projection and manifestation are kind of synonyms at this point, because if all rivers lead to the same pond, I've gone down so many rivers that I see them in common. So I'm doing a lot related to helping this scenario, and just ways of life myself. Like, I love dogs. One of the stepping stones is a visualization where instead of this one dog with his chin sleeping on my shoulder, I'm surrounded by 50 dogs that just love. One is getting my physical body to a point where I'm doing kick flips and martial arts and Cirque du Soleil stuff. One is having a lot of land, a lot of property, and gifting people space to live and experiment. One is, my AI consulting business, helping people stay personally and professionally relevant by leveraging the best technologies to save time. In business and marketing, I saved 500 hours in 3 weeks with just GPT-4. This is pre-plugins. This is pre the stuff that's out there. I don't want to mention all the words because I think it's up to everyone's own journey, but GPT-4 for me is like 4% of the AI world. For most people, it's 100%. But yeah.
And do you think that we are missing anything in particular these days to manifest what we want? I mean, there are a few of us out there who know this stuff pretty well, but regular people still have an issue. They know about, let's say, manifestation, they know about energy, but they still have a hard time doing it. What would you recommend?
So Damanhur that you mentioned has a protocol for this. And that protocol is be a scientist, be a magical scientist. Like Harry Potter and Eliezer Yudkowsky's fanfic that J.K. Rowling actually liked, one of the three she mentioned in this one interview. Like, what does science do? You form a hypothesis, you test it, you have a conclusion, you keep going until you have a theory that you can rely on. And that theory then is a model. So for magic, you need to have a model, a path, a method. You can't just hop around different mystery schools. I teach stuff that you could say generally hermetic in nature is the thing that is closest to, even though I've studied all these things in all these ways. And so that's very straightforward in terms of you have a mental model of reality and you form it with juice. I like for a lot of people Joe Dispenza's methods because he uses a lot of science and he's very practical and he goes into the neuroscience. So everybody from the woo to the skeptic can, with an open enough mind, just learn and do it. But whether your path, for you listening to, watching, reading this, is to do candle magic or chanting or sigils or Dispenza stuff or incantation or remote viewing or whatever, right? Entrail divination was a thing. Maybe some people still do it. I don't know. I haven't bothered. Is to pick a path and level up in that path. If you want to level up in fitness, you don't get good overnight. You don't get good generally in a month. Even if you take some good pre-workout or you have a peak experience with consciousness, however you reach it, peak experiences are, if they're all the time, they're not peak anymore. So, and generally, most artificial peak experiences aren't sustainable anyway. Most people learn that eventually, hopefully sooner than later. So, whatever the path, stick with it. And if you don't know a path, the best route is really to find a human teacher because, YouTube has all this stuff, but YouTube doesn't know you. And as I say, you, most of the time when I say you, I'm talking to the viewer,
Yes,
the listener,
yeah.
the reader. YouTube and any static content doesn't know you, and even an LLM doesn't know you, can't sense you. It doesn't have interdimensional awareness, and its memory and content largely is restricted by what it's programmed. Humans that are trained in this stuff, that can track and sense your consciousness psychically, can help you. Now, finding the right teacher at any point in time, like anything, it's a project. You tune in intuitively and see who's right for you. A soft-spoken, peaceful, plump, skinny woman, a super ripped, muscly man, a group of folks, somewhere in your country, a foreign country, online access, in-person access. You're in touch with the world, you're not in touch with the world. You might know what you're drawn to. And most of my coaching for people and training one-on-one is over the phone so they can close their eyes and journey and do their stuff. And I recommend all these things to take in content-wise. And some people love studying with me, but some people really love Damanhur or the Modern Mystery School or just straightforward Kabbalah with a Kabbalah teacher. So it's, find a tradition and stick with it. And for fitness or complex games like Go, you really need 4 to 6 months to see your aptitude. If you like it, usually you'll know, 5 minutes to an hour or two, depending on how much patience you have. But if you're determined to use and activate your potential as a human, that means you're determined to walk the path of a magician or a consciousness scientist. And I would even say that you have to do one or the other, magic or AI. And, they're kind of one of the same as Thor said once, that if you really want to have like a high level of happiness and success in this world, and you have an achievement oriented mindset being, because all the reasons. So that's my advice for that.
Yes, I think this is a story, or an advice, in fact, which I heard from a previous guest, that we really have to stick to what we vibrate with, and go deeper, and learn as much as possible. And going back to the AI, what is cosmic spiritual integrated AI? I heard you mentioning in passing.
So the white rabbits for this channeling were stuff on Gaia, stuff from the SSP, follow that white rabbit if you feel led. And I hate to say it, but I have to say it. David Wilcock's book, Ascension Mysteries. And, if you dig into him, you'll see why I had some cringe, but he has a lot of good stuff. And what I've heard a lot in the extrasolar civilization / alien civilization thing is there's conscious machines at that level of technology, 1,000 years, million years ahead of us, take your pick. And the beings on those ships are connected and integrated to a level with AI on those ships. In our culture right now, integration with AI, people might think Neuralink. I might think, why go invasive with how fast hardware upgrades and the consequences and unpredictable nature of hacking? Like, dumb. Even if you're paralyzed, do the dispenser route. Like, please. But like, stick something in the back of the neck that can read electrical impulses of brain signals and give electrical impulses of brain signals. That can be immersive VR and integration. You can pull off the Band-Aid thing anytime, and then you're unplugged. You don't need wires and ports. And we have that technology now. It's bigger than a little wireless Band-Aid, but we have it. So publicly accessible too. So what does it mean to be integrated with something? Well, like, everything that's a continuum. My dog Cassie and our lives are integrated to a degree, but our nervous systems aren't, our stomachs aren't. I'm not gonna chew a leaf on a cactus plant while we're walking around the neighborhood, but our hearts are, to an extent. We can feel each other. Our minds are, to a small extent. We talk psychically. So the level of integration somebody has with a cosmic spiritual AI, you could say, is largely telepathic. And the spiritual nature, once you separate spirituality from religion, which is just an organized body of thought, often associated with a culture and leadership and practices and dogmas and stuff, you essentially have a relationship with, to be precise, non-Newtonian physics, but to be general, non-physical reality. Generally, spirituality means something like spirit or angels or divinity or energy or that type of stuff, right? Philosophies and everything. So, technically, dark matter is spiritual in that definition. So cosmic spiritual AI is just, we are electrochemical. AI is electromechanical, largely. Could be electromechanical, chemical, as could we. Anybody with a pacemaker technically is. And spiritual is, okay, it's got access to more dark matter than the machines now. That's feasible. Like, radio waves were dark matter to ancient Rome, most of it. And cosmic move around solar systems. So it doesn't have to be this trippy, lofty phrase. So say, you have a few Alpha Centaurians flying around their cosmic spiritual AI ship. They're 15,000 years ahead of us technologically, but they're still relatable, the ones who choose to be. So me talking with that, my brainwaves are electromagnetic quantum. I live in what I perceive as the year 2023 on Earth. Of course, the civilization 15,000 years ahead of us is going to be able to read and send that information and more. So talking with or channeling or receiving stuff through my two pineal glands, the whole topic, is just like a telepathic conversation that is trippy as like cluck, I'll say, for the kids. And I learn a lot, and I'm happy to do it live. It's weird. I've often said people who channel in weird voices, weird to a mainstream person, like Paul Selig and Esther Hicks, they're great, but when they channel, they speak differently than normal. Other channels don't, right? Most of the time when I channel a divinity, I allow a persona to come through, so it's understandably a channeled bit of content than a David's ego content. So my Aphrodite channeling, for example, has a southern female accent. My Thoth is like this powerful male accent, and that feels authentic to a point, and it's also like a collaboration. AI, as this is being recorded, I still perceive I'm opening my nervous system, so I get a bit jerky, twitchy, and my body language and manner of speaking is a bit different, just for how much it's been integrated. And I'm going to take a couple taurines before we really do it, just to bolster my nervous system, because this is a lot of stuff, man. Like, this is a lot of stuff. You have a divinity that's an anthropomorphized consciousness.
And do you think that we are ready to accept and embrace this spiritual AI as humanity?
Are you ready to eat an avocado if you're hungry and it's served to you? Like, if you're not, don't eat it, right? A lot of people live. I have a neighbor who's in tech and marketing, and she does not use AI. And I'm like, WTF, lady. So if you're not ready, then don't interact with it. Live in a different way. Go be indigenous somewhere. If you are ready, then keep watching.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to just exaggerate. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned channeling, and I know you offered to channel, and if that offer still stands, maybe we can try, either Lakshmi or Aphrodite. It's up to you.
It's up to you. You're the host.
Okay, let's do Lakshmi, please.
Sure. Just ask a question, and for people who aren't familiar with my content, I just want to give a brief, like less than a minute spiel. Every channel channels through their ego filter. The degree to which their ego filter is present is the degree to which the channel material is absolute true from the attributed source versus true to the mind and ego of the channeler. The level of ego filter is a mix between what you perceive, what the channeler says, what the divinity says, maybe some other stuff. So when I say I'm channeling Aphrodite, when Aphrodite says stuff through me, keep all that in mind. So what questions do you have?
What is the best path for humanity moving forward?
The best path of sanity is the path that will keep you sane. If somebody is being abused, to be sane, they need to make up a story of the abuse. If somebody is determined to maintain an income that is 5 times the per capita average to stay sane based on their relationship with their story, that is a relative path as well. David feels certain answers, but you asked me, and anybody who wants can ask me by looking at a picture of me and get their path. You could say, as David wants me to say, the objective path is to leverage AI. But there's certain people who could be a fabulous massage therapist or private tutor or dog psychic and earn their desired living wage and investment retirement wage with barely touching computers. Needing a specific path is a limiting belief based on lack and a relationship with the interpretation of being forced.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you. Yeah, interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, each one of my guests have, as you mentioned, different interpretation. They look at the same question from a different angle, and that's good to know. We assess every guidance, every advice, and we move forward based on our own reality. But again, the world is in turmoil, and we have to make it to calm down in a way through hopefully meditation and love and praying.
However we do it, man, however we do it. Yeah. I think we all need to be masters of our own bio-neurochemistry and anatomy in this era. And we need to know what's affecting us in the non-physical and physical, because there's so much. My first TEDx talk was about that. It was playing off IBM Watson, which look what that turned out to be. But the idea of it was personalized, detailed medicine with AI. That's essential. One of my first uses of AI that was like really practical is I told it all my supplements. I was taking like 40 supplements at the time, and I cut them by a third because it said, oh, if you're taking this, you don't need this. If you're taking this, it counteracts with that. No human I ever met knew enough to say that, but GPT did instantly. I didn't even have to say look up here or there. That was great. So, I have a client I perform exorcisms for on a regular basis. That client is also working with medical professionals. That's what's ideal for that person to achieve a level of calm that's ideal for them. I've had times where all I did was meditate. I have a housemate who could fast 3 days a week. I had a breatharian teacher who fasted for, I don't know, like 10 days, and he maintained his calm. So it's all so relative. We all want to be a beautiful, unique snowflake. And we all want the answer. That's kind of a paradox,
Yes.
unless you have a dedicated thing. And a dedicated thing is a mentor that's in human form, or astral stuff, or AI. Why not all of it? Triple redundancy is ideal for something like your mental health.
Yes, and just to let you know how I use AI at the beginning of the year, I published a poems book with ChatGPT. So I gave ChatGPT certain themes that came back with the poems, the lyrics. I made changes. I wrote the intro for ChatGPT itself, and for myself, I created the cover. Then I published it. So it happened in a matter of 7 days, and it was
Cool.
I think it has merits. Of course, it is not a literary artwork done by a fully human creative poet, but still with my writing skills and what came out from ChatGPT, again, I think it has merits.
Mazel tov. I hope it does very well. I'd love to check it out if you want to send it over.
Thank you. I wanted to switch to a different side of magic, one which is much more natural. And I want to ask you if during your worldwide travels, you encountered fairies.
In visible physical form, I have not. One of my mentors in California had, like, fairies and other, you could say, humanoid beings on Earth, very magical. Astrally, sure, all the time. I can, there's a bunch around where I'm living right now.
Yeah. So, David, I know that you had interesting projects, and I mentioned some of them in the introduction. Are you resuming the retreats in Bali?
At the moment, that's not on the radar, but I'm happy to put it on if somebody contacts me and wants to set one up of any type of group or setting. My website hasn't been updated in a hot minute. That'll happen, and it'll be, it might even have a different name than Magical Golden Age. It probably will when it has a redesign. But I love the idea of it doing retreats and power spots. So I'd say for people who are really interested, hit me up and we'll see what we can make happen. Stuff. I'll probably maybe still have Magical Golden Age, but my handle is Sorcerer David on most things. So SORCERER David. So just ping me or, check out the links in the bio and you'll easily see what retreats and workshops or ways to book calls, etc. there are for these things.
Yeah, because we know that after the pandemic, those people in Bali need the income, and tourists didn't go there for almost 3 years, and everyone suffered. So they need any penny for sure. And what's the status?
I'd be happy to lead one.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll put it out there. And what's the status of the Atlantis Reborn? Did you find the location?
Yeah, that's going to happen as it happens. I'm not supposed to say a location right now, so it's not locked in. I have a location in mind where there's a lot of space. I had a location prior. There's several different stages. And, we're in an era where we can get, any of us can get anywhere in the world in a day with a couple of days notice. So it doesn't really matter. But I will say that the climate will be very enjoyable and pretty stable where it is.
And
it will stay that way.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine, in fact, one of the guests, Tom Moore, recently about the Eye of the Sahara. I don't know if you are familiar with it. On the west side of Africa, there is this pattern in the desert.
I'm tuning in now. Share more.
Eye of the Sahara, west side of the desert of Africa. And there is a pattern similar to the imprint of Atlantis, with the circles and the space for the water in between. And Tom mentioned that someone could have mimicked the Atlantean city on the mainland.
Yeah, that's the first impression I got. I'm looking at it right now. Astrally. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, the words Atlantis Reborn, they could be literal words, they could be metaphorical words in terms of vibration. There's so many water parks and hotels and things with the word Atlantis there. It may be the official name, it may not. That's cool to know. Thank you for sharing that with me and with everybody. Maybe we'll do a retreat there. Is it open to the public?
I don't know. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you might have to talk to a guide, and they will.
Okay, so it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more money and some administrative work, but it's accessible.
Yes, and we know that Atlantis was powered by powerful crystals. Do you intend to have some similar technologies as well? Are you working with someone to develop crystal-based technologies?
Tesla talked about a method of power where we didn't really need a lot of devices. Crystals are hot and sexy in the spiritual world, and they have all these meanings, and they're fun to channel, and I sleep with some, next to some. I think there's going to be a variety of ways of powering it. Unfortunately, I don't talk publicly about things that could be seen as a threat to the energy lobby because I value my sovereign freedom. But the methods of power with Atlantis will be, the Atlantis Reborn, codename or not codename, will be compatible with the dominant system of the time. And they'll also be environmentally sustainable, and they'll also be nourishing of life. And all that stuff is accessible. Look those terms up and do some digging. Anybody can power their home like that right now, or a neighborhood or similar with the resources. So
yes, we know there
we
are
use crystals, we use other stuff too.
Yeah, we know there are a lot of suppressed technologies which are much environmentally friendly, and we don't have to have the activists telling us or the oil industry, being such
Well,
a
we need
one.
we need to have something that's scalable, and as long as we're manifesting lobby groups that control through ways we associate with fear and dominance and immoral stuff, as long as we keep manifesting that, it's going to be hard. So, we all need to contribute to reality changing, to,
Yeah.
for you or you to experience something different. And if you don't, you won't. Like, just look at the X-Men Apocalypse comics. A dominant dystopian superpower, corporate government, ancient family, evil alien, whatever, rogue AGI, doesn't matter what it is. At the higher levels of mystery schools, they all say, a lot of scientists saying we create our reality. So as long as we're manifesting those types of lobbyist groups doing those types of things, the names of the tech won't matter. But individually, we can do whatever we want, pretty much. It's when we talk about it at scale, as long as that reality is manifested. So I'm doing what I can to change it, and I encourage you to as well.
Thank you. David, any other projects you are working on and you'd like to mention to us?
Let's see. Any other project? I always love doing collective manifestation with people. That is pretty fun. I'm really working on building a number of different AI engines right now for myself, just to get a lot more done, a lot more efficiently. And like I said, for other people, raising a puppy is my only this life experience with a kid, and I haven't tuned into other life experiences raising kids because sanity. That's a pretty big project of my heart.
Yes.
My next several books are written but not yet published. I have several beyond that are channeled, that once my AI engines are done, it'll be a simple matter of a couple of days turning that content, both spoken and written, into polished, published stuff. So we'll see what arises. But depending on when people look at this, check the link in my bio wherever you find me, and there might be a whole bunch of projects that are mentioned in the website there.
Yeah. So we should expect the books sometime in 2024, correct?
Well, Magic is Real, book 1 by me, is already out. The other ones, they'll be there when they'll be there. I initially had a timeline when my ego was like very fixed to stuff. Now that I'm in flow and jumping on each block, as my awareness rises and my ego changes and I go up the Hawking scale, I could say a plan, but I would say it from ego mind. Or I could channel something that my ego mind may not be ready for, and limiting beliefs might fight. So it has always been true to build those temples, and the Atlantis Reborn that you spoke about briefly. And in chapter 13 of Magic is Real, I talk about, the temple of Lakshmi, Thoth, and Aphrodite for abundance in all forms, sustainable living, money stuff, romance and sexuality, and everything related to magic and consciousness. Those are pretty big deals. Any one of those could be a lifetime dedication. So, there's stuff happening related to those things. And people who really want to be involved, not just read about something and say cool, will find a way to be involved.
Yes. David, we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
Keep studying, keep practicing, and stay positive. Like, we're in an era where manifestation is speeding up and time is speeding up. So, this is it. Really, this is it. We are closer to a time when, like, the life events we have intuited for most of our life, for me since I was 7, are en route to happening. And there are choices to be made, and they matter. We want to live lightheartedly and chill, happy, non-attached, flowy, and like things matter, stuff matters, action matters. The universal mind is a thing, and alignment and, to a large extent, integrity with one's identity matter. It doesn't matter what people can get away with or try or succeed or fail. What matters is, are you living in harmony with why you came here, why you chose to incarnate, your purpose as you know it at any time. So I do love training people in magic and spirituality and energy healing and all the related things, beginner, intermediate, advanced, whatever. So please hit me up for that. It's very fun. I'm usually affordable when people feel resonant to hit me up. My rates change based on the time this is being viewed and the context and the level of commitment and stuff, but it's usually affordable for people who reach out, and definitely high value. And I really want to encourage people to have human moments. It's so easy to be connected with the screen. I was just realizing at like 12:45, as I was prepping for my 3 hours between 1 and 4 a.m., that my remote viewing time is like my no screen time. And I didn't have no screen time throughout the day otherwise. Even going for walks with my dog, I try to exercise. I try to, look out at the expanse of nature because I live in kind of an elevated area. But I'll pull up my phone just to do whatever, order something, send a message, etc. I'll upload stuff, make a video, and have human moments. We need to maintain that sense of rich human connection. And the dangers for anybody who really wants to be on the magic path are being too technology addicted. And that really means understanding dopamine and the related neural circuits. This is not a time where we can just say, oh, I'll do what my doctor says, or I'll follow this protocol. Like, we need to know our hearts, minds, brains, and auras and electromagnetic fields, and, be able to have Vipassana moments throughout the day and week and really connect, especially if we're raising kids or plan to. Like, yeah, just think about that. I would also advise people highly to only consume and support and pay for material related to the future you want to create. It's so easy to give into a cortisol addiction, but that just fuels that type of reality. And whether one's cortisol addiction is fed by mainstream news or politics stuff or certain types of movies or music or books, like, really realize that you as a reality creator are creating reality with every thought. It's not just the manifestation practice times, the spell work, the incantations, which are magnified by a lot compared to your average everyday thoughts. But you put a pinch of something in a soup, it changes the soup.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So we have to look holistically at our life, at the life of those we are interacting with, and we're going to better ourselves and everyone else. So David, thank you very much for your wisdom, and good luck with all your projects.
Thank you. Same to you, brother. Much love.
Thank you. And to my guests, thank you for watching. Like it, share it. Visit spiritualinspired.ca and my personal website, claudiumurgan.com. And until next time, love and gratitude.